You need it.
Wow, right? Oh, okay.
Well, that worked well. It is now 7:01 in the evening. It's time to get started. Today is April 1st, 2025. We are this is the Arundel Planning Board, and we're in the municipal meeting room. If you have not signed in, please do so. We need to keep accurate records of who's here. We have a call to order, so I'll start at the far end.
Sam Picus planner.
Marty Kane.
Zachary Shapiro.
James Lowry.
Paul Green.
Tom McGinn.
Susan Roth.
I'm Rich Ganong, the chairman. We have in front of us approval of the agenda, approval of the minutes for March 18th, 2025, and I believe there is Skillingwood subdivision site walk minutes as well. We have a space for public comment. We have a public hearing for Chad Beaulieu, Hillview Mini Barns, and pending business for Chad Beaulieu, Hillview Mini Barns. It's my understanding that Chad is not here.
He's here.
I made it.
Okay, you made it. Never mind then. We have a public hearing for Chad on his application, and then we have some pending business with Chad. Then we have new business, Christchurch, conditional use, and Stone Ridge Farms conditional use mineral extraction. Then we have, and this one I know is not here. We were going to spend some time talking to the codes enforcement officer, but he has requested a delay. He's had a personal issue come up and he's not going to make it tonight. And then we're going home.
Move we approve of the agenda as read.
I'll second that.
Motion was made by Tom McGinn, seconded by Susan Roth to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? It is unanimous. Approval of the minutes of March 18th.
So you should have two sets, Mr. Chairman, the minutes as well as the sidewalk minutes.
Correct. Yeah, I'll take this. We'll do the minutes first and then we'll do the sidewalk.
Yes, sir.
A motion to approve the meeting minutes.
Second.
Okay, motion by Tom McGinn, seconded by Marty Kane to approve the minutes of March 18th. Any discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
It is unanimous. Moving on to the site walk minutes for this March 18th. This was the Skillingwood subdivision amendment, map 10, lot 10.
I'll move to approve those as written.
Second.
Motion by Zachary, seconded by Marty.
Yep.
Any discussion?
I'm going to abstain because I was not there.
Okay. Anybody else that was not there? Oh, look at that. We had everybody. All those in favor? Any opposed? We have 6 in favor and 1 abstention. On to today's agenda.
Oh, public comment.
Public comment. Public comment is that time where if you have something you'd like the board to address that is not on the agenda. Now is the time to bring it up so that we'll know about it and we can get it on a future agenda. And since there's such a mad rush to get to the microphone, we will proceed on to public hearings. We have one public hearing. It is 7:05. I'll open the public hearing. This is for Chad Beaulieu Hillview Mini Barns site plan, a proposal that created 15,000 square foot outdoor display area for Hillview Mini Barns to display garages, sheds, park models, and cabins for sale. The property is currently utilized for a residential dwelling. Parcel is located at 1341 Portland Road, tax map 35, lot 10 in the DB1 zone. Audrey Wakefield is the property owner and Chad Beaulieu is the applicant. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Beaulieu concerning what he wants to do out there? Well, in that case, it's 7:04. I will close the public hearing. And we will move right into pending business, which is Chad Beaulieu's Hillview Mini Barn. And I'm not going to read it all again because it's exactly what I read the first time. Has anything changed, Chad?
Just the entrance location, that is submitted the.
Okay. Does the planner have anything for us related to this particular?
No other comments?
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments for Mr. Beaulieu from the board?
No, got the new drawing.
No problem.
I think it was pretty well settled last time I was here.
Nothing
Yep.
new. We need a motion.
Need a motion?
We'll make a motion. We approve the plan with the sketch.
I'll second that.
We have a motion from Tom McGinn, seconded by Susan Roth to approve the plan. So we have the findings of fact and conclusions of law. Site plan amendment, conditional use review for Chad Beaulieu, Hillview Mini Barns, 1912 Portland Road. The applicant, Chad Beaulieu, is proposing to use their site to display prefabricated garages, storage sheds, cabins, and park models. This site includes the removal of loam and the installation of a crushed gravel 150 by 115,000 square feet. The applicant is also proposing a 30-foot driveway, split rail fencing, and a freestanding sign. The board held a site walk on March 15th, 2025. I'm sorry, on February 15th, 2025, and deemed the application complete at the March 18th planning board meeting. Findings of fact, the applicant is Chad Beaulieu. Number two, owner is Audrey Wakefield and Chad Beaulieu. The location is 1341 Portland Road. The zoning is downtown business 1. Its existing use is residential and is grandfathered in. Number 6, proposed land uses for commercial services and the acreage size is 10 acres. The planning board has determined the application to be in conformance with the criteria set forth in section 10.6.4 in the land use ordinance as follows. The proposed project conforms to all land use standards of the zoning district and meets or exceeds performance standards specified in sections 5, 9, and 10 of this ordinance. The proposed project conforms to all applicable zoning and performance standards. Number 2, the proposed project has received all applicable federal and state permits. The applicant has applied for a main DOT driveway and entrance permit for widening the existing driveway. Number 3.
Rick, can I interrupt real quick?
Yes, please.
Can we amend that finding to reflect the issuance of the driveway entrance permit by the DOT
Yes.
in March?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you need me
So-
to
Yeah, if you could put some wording to
wordsmith
it.
something along those lines?
Yep.
The applicant has received a main DOT driveway and entrance permit number 40566 dated March 25th, 2025.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Motion by Jamie Lowery, seconded by Susan Roth. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
It is unanimous. Moving on to number 3. The proposed project does not unreasonably impact public safety and fire protection and will not create a financial burden for the town of Arundel in the provision of emergency services and law enforcement to the project site and the neighborhood. The proposed project does not unreasonably impact public safety, fire protection, and emergency services. Number 4, the proposed project will not have an adverse impact upon the quality of surface or groundwater resources. No impacts to groundwater resources will result from the project. Number 5, the project provides adequate stormwater management facilities to produce no additional runoff during the site, from the site during a 25-year storm event and will not have an undue impact on municipal stormwater facilities or downstream properties. The proposed project will provide for adequate stormwater management. Number 6, the proposed project will not have an adverse on-site impact upon existing vehicular and pedestrian circulation systems within the community or neighborhood. The proposed project will provide for adequate vehicular and pedestrian circulation. Number 7, the proposed project will not have an adverse impact on environmental quality, critical wildlife habitats, marine resources, important cultural resources, or visual quality of the neighborhood, surrounding environments, or the community. No impacts to the environmental quality, critical wildlife habitats, marine resources, important cultural resources, or visual quality of the neighborhood, surrounding environments will result from the proposed project. Number 8, the proposed project will not produce noise, odors, dust, debris, glare, solar obstruction, or other nuisances that will adversely impact the quality of life of surrounding parcels. None of the above nuisances will result from the proposed project. Number 9, the proposed project will not have a negative fiscal impact on municipal government. No negative fiscal impact on municipal government will result from the proposed project. That the use is consistent with the comprehensive planning, anticipated future development of the neighborhood. The proposed project is consistent with the comprehensive plan. Conditions of approval. Based on the above findings of fact and conclusions of law, the Arundel Planning Board approves the amended site plan conditional use review of Chad Beaulieu, Hillview Mini Barns as herein presented with the following condition of approval. The performance guarantee is to be provided to the town planner for review before construction starts. Okay? Have you met with the town planner to figure out what that performance guarantee is? Okay. So approved by the Arundel Planning Board. This date, April 1st, 2025. Having voted to approve it and read the conditions of approval, are there any questions, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? It is unanimous. Congratulations.
I have, the applicant has received the main DOT driveway and entrance permit number 40566 dated March 15th, 2025,
March 25th.
25th.
I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure it's 25th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next item.
We
We'll
sign,
find out after they.
which one do we sign?
We can't sign
No, it's gotta
the
be-
NOD yet. We can only sign, does it have, we had, no, because we had to change.
Yeah,
the
I
one
think
I
it's on here.
No. That's true, but we should not sign it until we have the front page attached.
Okay, no.
Yeah. Sam, can you get that to Ann?
Yes.
And she can send out a notice letting us know that that's ready for us to come in and sign.
Yeah.
That way Chad won't have to wait until next 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Right. But yeah, he can't do anything until he's turned that guarantee in.
I'm honestly not doing anything till I have a signed contract on the city bond, so it's just a process that I've had to go through, so.
Okay.
It may not happen, but it's, but
Yeah.
I've talked to them off and on, but waiting for a signed contract and then before I start the meeting. All that.
Well, you're set and ready to go.
Right.
Very good. Next item, Christchurch conditional use. Proposal to convert the existing M People Credit Union building to a church. The credit union will continue to operate the ATM located on site through a leasing agreement with the church for a period of 5 years. The project is located at 1298 Alfred Road, tax map 20, lot 6 in the R4 district. The current owner is M People Credit Union. The applicant is Christchurch, and the agent for the applicant is Barbara Miller. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, planning board, for giving us a chance to come in and explain our our project and what we're hoping to accomplish. Again, my name is Bill Thompson. I'm a member of the church, and I'm here again for Barb Miller. Christ Church is looking to get a conditional use permit. So this is our request to come through the planning board for a change of use at 1298 Alfred Road property. It is an existing credit union. It's been a number of things. I think the original building was a church, then it might have gone into a bank, then a credit union, and now Christ Church has it under contract with conditions. And one of them is that we get all the permits that we need. We've had inspections. The building is really what we call a turnkey operation. It meets all of our needs for size. I mean, really nothing we have to do to it. We might take out the teller booths inside, not intimidate the parishioners when they come in. But otherwise, it's really a great location. We're really happy about that. Sam has helped us to navigate through the steps required. We appreciate her help very much. And her memo outlines the site plan review, section 5, performance standards, which her summary of those confirms that really there are no changes to the building. It meets what is existing and what has been approved in the past. And again, it's just only a change of use. Our cover letter that was written and submitted describes the use of the property, estimated traffic, a vehicle, and reiterates that there will be no exterior building or site changes required. There'll be a different identification on the sign, but really that's about it. The property, again, as I said, is under contract with the condition that we secure all permits, including the planning board approval. Our agreement with the sellers is that the ATM will remain active for their benefit for 5 years. The attorneys are finalizing the lease agreement between the parties to make sure it's all done correctly. So we have other church members here tonight for support. If there are any questions during the review, if I can't answer them, we'll defer to the folks that are behind me. So again, we're hoping to move this forward. Like I said, we have it under contract. We're ready to move and bring the churches to the new location in Arundel on Route 111. So again, if any questions, anything we want to move forward with, I'd be happy to address those. Thank you.
Chair,
Yes, go ahead, Paul.
Bill, I'm sorry, I didn't get your last name.
Yeah, Thompson, THOMPSON. Yeah.
So, Mr. Thompson, is there gonna be enough parking spaces for
Yeah.
church use?
Yeah, there's 28 spaces out there. And now with the 2 churches that are going to be taking in, we average about 20 people. So some 2 people in a car, so 10 or 12 cars. Gives us room for growth, and there'll be occasional events there with meetings, the church, the trustees meet there, but yeah, we think that the parking numbers are really comfortable.
Okay.
Rich, before we get into any more discussion of this, I just want to, I don't think it rises to the level of a conflict of interest, but I want to get on the record that part of the applicant is the Beacon of Hope, which I am the treasurer and a member of the West Kennebunk United Methodist Church, which is currently part of the Beacon of Hope, where the West Kennebunk Church is not going to be part of this application or process going forward, but I have sit in meetings on talk about finance and everything else between the 3 churches with the group that's presenting this, and just wanted to make everybody on the board in case there was a perceived issue with me. I don't feel that there is, but I just wanted to let everybody know.
Okay, thank you. We'll clear this up real quick, nice and easy. Does anybody have a problem with Jamie making a decision on this? Do you see a conflict of interest at all?
No.
No. We're good to go.
Full confidence in his judgment.
No, Paul, hey, Paul, did you say nothing other than the usual?
I said full confidence in his judgment.
Okay, I did have a question. Have you talked to the fire chief?
Yes, and I might defer to Beverly, who had meetings with some of the towns in the utility company. So. No, I did. Okay, Barbara Miller did. Yes, but we've had that meeting inspection.
Okay.
with The fire chief, correct. Yeah. And again, full inspection, we've had electrical, plumbing, the septic system on site is in great condition. The well, volume of water and then all the utilities work really well for us.
Do you know if there's a sprinkler or fire protection in it?
We have sprinklers and
Okay.
fire extinguishers.
Yep.
Mr. Chair.
Who's there?
So.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike.
Yeah, Marty.
Have you talked to your budding neighbor, the restaurant?
We have not, no, notices will go out to them through this process, but we haven't had any face-to-face contact, sorry.
Because I know prior along the way, there was a question about the property line and your property and their property next door and everything else. I mean, that's why I'm asking you.
Okay, I can look into that.
But I think it was all resolved with the credit union
Okay,
at the time. But I'm just saying, as a new owner,
sure.
to bring that up to you, to make sure everything is happy and along the way.
Okay, thank you.
Should we do a site walk?
And like, Tom, you had a question?
Well, yeah, I have a question with just, I know your, it's condition of purchase that ATM has to remain for 5 years, just,
Correct.
it's unusual, thing.
It
Uh,
is
I guess,
unique.
yeah, it's so, and my concern is if this is a single use on the property, or are there two separate uses on the property?
There's two separate uses.
Mm-hmm.
There's a banking use with the ATM and there's the church.
And so how do we deal with that? I don't have a problem with it, but how does it comply with our regulations?
The bank's already approved, right?
The bank is already
So they're
approved.
already approved, so it's a
Okay.
matter of do we approve the church?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately the assessor would be charged with determining
Who's,
how
Who to
any
tax.
real estate taxes,
yeah,
you know, play into things.
And it's a mechanical use as opposed to a manned
Ye-
use.
right, yeah.
So
Correct.
that changes you know, the use, the type of use itself.
Yeah. Well, it's something I'm sure you've discussed it. It just seems a little odd walking past and driving past the ATM to get into the place of worship, but that's the way,
Yeah, it's-
that's the property
Really
regulation.
won't
requirement.
impact our use. I mean, our primary use is Sunday,
Right,
and then occasional, meetings, quiet practice, those things. So I don't
Okay.
think there'll be. I know there won't be any issues with our.
so there is the issue of property tax, so that would,
That's up to
outside of our-
the assessor.
the
Sure.
assessors would deal with that. Okay,
Because it's my understanding that this is a standalone outside. It's not attached to the building, is it? It's attached to the,
it's
or
attached to
whatever
the
they call
building.
that thing with the roof on it.
Canopy.
Like
The
a
canopy,
kiosk
thank you.
Or, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a kiosk, though.
No, they will not have any inside involvement at
Right.
all. Everything, they'll handle everything externally with the money collection and beating the machine and so on.
And you'll be using for a sign out front, existing location?
That's the plan right now. We
Okay.
could get a sign to meet our use.
No change in lighting or anything?
None proposed.
Okay.
No, it all works really
Good.
well.
So Susan brought up a good point, sidewalk. Do you
Do a
want to do a sidewalk?
No.
Okay.
Well,
Any supposed change to-
No,
There's no,
nothing exterior.
no, what you see there is. what's been there.
I think we should, as our regular, at least to go and have a site walk still. As our standard procedure.
it is our standard procedure. I agree.
But it's always been standard procedure for new construction. that this-
On anything.
We've
Well,
we've done
there
it.
being changes to the building.
is-
There were no
And,
changes.
again, Susan brings up the point. In the past, every time we've done a site walk, there was a change to the building, the facade changed, doors were moved around.
Addition,
In this case,
parking.
nothing
Windows.
is changing.
So I do have one more question. So the ATM is gonna be run by the bank, right?
Correct.
Are they gonna set up a separate power source for it, or is it still gonna run off your building?
That has not been worked out. It's part of the lease agreement on how that'll be. There's plenty of power there. There's more power in that building.
I understand
Yeah,
that. I'm just wondering, you know how it works out, right?
Right.
You guys got your meter, they get theirs. I didn't know if
Yeah.
there was gonna be a separate one that would have to be set up in that case. It would
And
make
again,
sense
that'll
to go
be-
do it.
You're right. And my question in that instance would be, is CMP doing it? Because CMP charges a tax.
Yeah, I think the two uses will coordinate as part of the agreement. And as far as, you know, the power use and any sort of alterations that need to be done. of How
Okay.
the building's powered now.
If the drop is sufficient, you do a
Right.
you draw it down.
Right. That's what I'm wondering.
Excuse me, are they renting it back from you? So you bought
Yeah.
the building and they're keeping their ATM there, and are they paying
Yeah.
you
What
a
they-
rent to
they're
leave
leasing-
the ATM there?
Correct. They're leasing it back from.
So,
Church will own the site, everything there, and they will be leasing it for 5 years.
so you could easily send them
Mhm.
an accounting every month of what their share of the power is
Yeah,
as part of that
Well,
lease.
That was
Maybe
separate.
part of the lease, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
right.
So
Lease might
if
include,
Yep.
you know. a
separate power
fee
source
for
might not
power
be
use.
necessary.
Yeah.
They just include it in
I
your.
think it's pretty smart.
Lease.
Will you be putting up signs?
Sorry.
Will you be putting up signs around the building and the ATM to indicate that this is where the ATM is and you should not be coming into the building?
I think it's pretty clear now with the traffic circulation that comes through there.
You have more faith in humanity than I do.
Yeah, I think the uses now, I think are gonna be the uses even while we're there. So I think they're,
Yeah, it's
Okay.
one-way circulation.
Rich, don't forget, this is a church.
Well, yes.
They're inherent.
All are welcome.
operating with faith.
Yeah, are you saying it would be hard to have less faith than I have?
You know that's not true.
I know that's not true, but I thought I'd ask anyway.
Listen, having an ATM outside may come in handy.
Yeah, exactly.
For those who come in with empty
Collect-
pockets.
We'll put an offering plate up
We could Leave the collection plate right there.
You don't do Venmo.
I wasn't going down that road.
Takes away the excuse of if I got my wallet.
So sidewalk or not,
Sidewalk or not, folks?
but
Yeah,
Make it a motion, Marty.
make a motion, we still have a sidewalk
When?
at our convenience.
well,
How about after this meeting?
I would say, I think the next,
Before the
meeting
next meeting?
is March 15th, isn't it?
April.
April.
Yeah, April
15th.
15th.
Yeah, April 15th. I can't get out of March. I'm stuck there. Yeah, March
This is
15th,
April Fool's Day.
Yes, it is.
Don't need much time.
6:15.
Sure. For 6:30.
What was the date again?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Marty, seconded by Paul Green to have a sidewalk. April 15th at 6:15.
That way I'll give you time to meet your next door neighbor at the same time.
Okay,
Yeah, because he'll be notified of the meeting.
yeah, that'll, April 16th was the date.
15th.
15th, okay,
Yeah, 2 weeks from tonight.
thank you.
Right? 75 minutes after the post office closes and I go on vacation.
All right.
Right.
That's right.
Move the vote.
I quit working around 4:30, but that's besides.
Um,
Okay. All, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? It's unanimous. We will see you on April 15th.
The next step, okay.
Mr. Chair, we want to discuss scheduling a public hearing or next steps with the applicant.
Good.
Yes.
Good idea, yeah.
Uh,
I'll make a motion that we have a scheduled public hearing that same night.
I'll second it.
Oh, I think before we do that, why don't we just consider the application complete?
There.
Yes.
All right, well, I'll withdraw my, with that motion, I'll make another one that we deem this application complete.
Second, and
Okay, motion by Tom McGinn, seconded by Marty Kane to deem the application complete. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Now for the public
Okay,
hearing.
so I'll go back to that motion to schedule a public hearing on the 15th.
I'll second that.
Motion by Tom McGinn, seconded by Susan Roth to hold a public hearing on April 15th at 7 p.m. Any discussion?
Wait, at 7 p.m.?
Yes.
Oh, the public
The
hearing.
public hearing.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm still on the sidewalk here.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor? Anyone opposed? It is unanimous.
Jim, can I ask a question? Could we have an action item the same night on the agenda? Have the public hearing?
It will be on it. We'll automatically put it on there.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
See you in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Next business,
Stone Ridge.
Stone Ridge Farms Conditional Use Mineral Extraction, a proposal to conduct mineral extraction operations in the gravel pit area located on Curtis Road, tax map 23, lot 4. The parcel is 72 acres in size and is located in the R4 and shoreland zone. Stone Ridge Farms Incorporated, Saul Fetter and Clifton Tam are the property owners. David Stone is the representative and Jason Vafiades, PE of Atlantic Resource Consultants, is the applicant's engineer.
Welcome back.
Hey, lots of friendly faces and a couple of new ones. How's everybody doing? Thanks for having us tonight.
Good.
I thought Jason had decided to leave town and not leave the state because he was tired of seeing us.
I think he just left the town. I think he moved over.
Yeah.
One town over.
So we've got, as far as my projects in the past have gone with you, this one's relatively simple, so I like to bring these easy ones in. So I'm here with David Stone, Stone Ridge Farms. They had an existing gravel pit there for years. And then paper snafu, they forgot to renew their permit. Here, a new ordinance went into effect, and such, we have to apply for a new permit for the existing pit use. So I brought you, you have all the plans and everything in front of you. Couple of things with mineral extraction. This one is unique in that it's what we call an internally drained pit. So basically any disturbance that happens, they're cutting a hole in the land. And none of that water comes back out. So there's no stormwater impact or so anything. They're just pulling some of the material out, leaving, you can see there's a couple ponds there now. We gave you an aerial existing conditions. So there's a couple of areas that they've dug down pretty deep. We've regraded this proposed grade so that we don't go into the water table at all. Under the main mining rules, it's a lot easier if we don't go within the, I think it's 3 feet of the water table. And so they're just there to sort of, they've got a bunch of material stockpiles there now. They actually can't legally take off site because their permit expired. You have to have a gravel pit extraction permit to bring in loaders, stuff, bring the material out. So we've shown, I actually highlighted for you, so it's easier to read the plans, because I know looking at grading is something I can do, but it's not really a skill that most people have. So that yellow line that I've drawn on that plan over the entire parcel is a big, thick black line on the outside. And the yellow line is the actual areas where we're excavating. Most of that depth is only about 4 or 5 feet down. And then there's an existing excavated pond to the southeast of the site that has been there for years. We're not going to touch that. We're going to maintain that 100-foot buffer from the property lines that exist now. Just clean up the material, haul out what's in there, go down another 6 or 8 feet on average. Leave the ponds where they are, the ponds will stay. And then we just put 4 inches of loam and seed on everything and grade everything 3 to 1 that has a slope. And I don't know, David, when you think you'll be done pulling material out of there, but I'm certain another 10,
I mean,
12 years.
it's gonna be a while, cause it's not something that, cause I work with Brex Corp and Kennybunk full time. So this is just something to give my parents some income, financially. So there's not gonna be a lot of material going out there. every month. You know, we're not talking heavy truck traffic and all that stuff. It's just, you know. I mean, the most, it might be 1,000 yards a month, maybe, but, and then during the winter time. You know, it's probably gonna be like no traffic. So,
especially during road posts.
yeah, especially, you know, like right now, the roads are posted and.
And actually, one thing I'll add before we get into discussion, so we are asking for 2 waivers, so. It's funny, the 2 waiver items are actually 2 things that kind of do the same thing, but you have them separated in your checklist. One is a nitrate analysis, and another one is a groundwater study. Typically, you do a nitrate analysis to study the movement of nitrates through the groundwater. So it's just an interesting thing. So, and the reason we're asking for waivers is this is an existing pit. And there are no residential uses proposed on the lot, so there actually is no production of nitrates. So we don't see a need to do a nitrate analysis because they're not actually producing nitrates to analyze. And then the groundwater study, those tend to be, as David was talking about, this is a family pit. This isn't like your typical commercial pit operation. Those studies tend to get pretty expensive. You got to get a hydrogeologist and do a bunch of borings and monitoring and things like that. The pit's been in existence for quite a while, and we're an internally drained pit, so we're not exporting groundwater from the site. We're not pumping off the site. We're not pumping into the river. Nothing like that. Everything drains into the site, and so we don't really see as a professional engineer, I'm comfortable asking you for a waiver on that item because there's really no impact to groundwater based on this operation.
So, but Jason, are you gonna be excavating the pit deeper than where it is now?
Nope, the lowest contour that we're proposing is actually a little bit above the contour that the water, the ponds, the highest the ponds get. So there's no dewatering would be required.
But I mean, doesn't the DEP have criteria that you've got to maintain separation to
Yep,
groundwater?
Yes, correct.
So you're assuming the pond
Yeah,
elevation
so-
is,
Part of the DEPs, so we do, I'm assuming David will have us do, we do inspections we do gravel pits around the state.
Yep.
And so we go and actually do groundwater, we go out and test
Yeah.
groundwater level, say, okay, this is where you are, and you give them a pit report, and things like that.
I have a couple of questions. One is, how long has the gravel pit been out of commission?
2 years.
2 years?
I
And
believe.
is this a
I believe-
one-time extraction, or is these are ongoing extractions? or-
Nope, so anything so I think, did you guys get a stop work order? Or?
Yeah.
So they didn't know that the pit had expired. David's parents didn't know. So I think the code enforcement officer called and said, hey, you gotta.
Yeah,
put it for-
Jim came over and kind of explained everything to me and. Cause what the hell it was, I'm in charge of. Getting rid of the material and my
Right.
parents were in charge of this stuff, which I don't really have much. Experience in, so I assumed and then I get a call from. Jim Nagel and, things weren't what they were supposed to be and I wanna get everything. On the
Oh.
right,
Once you get this going again, is the intention to keep it going on
Yeah,
a
so-
long-term basis, or do you have one large extraction in mind and then you will have exhausted what you've got there and it will no longer be in operation, I guess is what I'm asking.
So that's probably more, but
yeah, I mean, it's gonna take a long time to get the material out, and once the material's out, it's just gonna be a farm pond, like a big farm pond, and
And that'll be it.
then it's
Yeah.
gonna be it, yeah.
were they doing, 15, 20,000 yards a week, this would go fast, but where it's actually a very specific, I went out there with David. It's a pretty specific material that's actually pretty useful. It's really good for pond liners. So it's a clay sand out there and it's, let's say, you're probably not charging enough for it, but there, it's a good material, but it's not a material that you need on every job site. You just
Thanks.
need it for wet ponds. And so, like we were out there meeting, I can see them, like you said, like 1,000 yards a month is probably in this area. And so just so you know, 1,000 yards is was that 38 triaxles? I mean, it would be like 38 truck trips a month. So, you know, on a day where he's in there working the pit, you know, there might be 7 or 8 ton trucks go in and come out. And then that would be like the heaviest traffic it would get.
So
So
it's material, it's suitable for general roadway construction.
No, it's not. It's not structural gravel. It's no, it's a maybe some fill around the house or
Yeah,
septic sand.
there's some sand,
Yeah.
some septic type
Yeah.
stuff, but as
Probably
far as,
good for septic.
there's a lot of clay type,
Is this the same pit that?
Mark Welch.
Mark Welch,
Right.
yeah.
I remember sidewalk.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it's been a long time since we did one. I'm trying to remember when he closed it down.
yeah, that was my
Is Mark
question.
still
When did-
involved?
No, him and, yeah,
I think
it's,
it's-
yeah,
You know,
I don't remember if Mark owned the permit or if it came from Freddie.
No, well,
I just don't
I
remember.
remember Mark at the site.
Yes. Yeah, because he was running it. I don't, he might have been leasing the space. I'm not sure.
That's right.
You know, so I'm not sure how
He's
that.
not involved.
Nope.
Is there a road to get in and out? Okay, so it's already there.
Yeah, oh,
You don't need
It's
to
a-
change
it's
it
a-
or,
yeah, it's a pit. I mean, you can tell there's stockpiles and there's a couple, like we said, a couple of excavated areas that are now
but the
pumped.
trucks can get in,
Yeah,
get out.
yeah, I actually talked to Terry a couple weeks ago and, I put a paved apron to the gate and I talked to him and I gotta add another, I think it's another 15 or 20 feet to it. Just
20.
for
20, because you had 80 and when Terry said you had another 20 to make it 100.
yeah, so I taught everything else was fine with that. He went out and looked at it,
so as
so I gotta,
as part of this application process, your standards for extraction, your conditional use standards for this particular use have been updated since this pit was in operation, so we're bringing into compliance with your new ordinance.
So that's about the only improvement you have to make.
Yeah, exactly.
Other than just extracting.
yeah.
Now, question.
Yeah,
when
Mark.
Mark had it, he had reclaim process or plans of redoing the reclaim on the walls or whatever else, like reconditioning. Okay. Has that all been done?
So the areas that are stabilized, yes, so it's like, if I can get up. These areas here that already have been sloped, yeah, this is all stabilized grass now, so. It's actually, if you do a site walk, it's easy for me to point over and say, that's what the sides are gonna look like. Future in the new excavated areas. And then you can see from the aerial contours, these are where the ponds are now. And then this is, just where the contours get dense and new stockpiles that are, this is based on
Yeah, but what was Mark pulling out at the time?
sand and clay.
Yeah, it was sand and maybe a little bit of clay, but he kind of,
He overextended, didn't he?
well. Yeah, he did his thing and then he stopped and he just pulled everything down. Headed towards the back, he just pulled it down and left it and. Him and my father kind of
Had a discussion.
had a discussion and. That was
Is
the
that
end
a
of
good way
that.
of saying it?
Yeah, that's a good way of saying it. So,
The contract was broke.
yeah. So, yeah, yep.
So we need a sidewalk.
So-
for sure.
We definitely do.
So is this?
I have a question about PFAS. That whole field is contaminated with PFAS. I know that because I've seen Freddie is your dad?
Yeah,
I've seen your dad on the news talking about it. What,
Is that field? Because I know part of the farm was where they had the, soil fertilized by the water department. Was that part of the field or land over this way fertilized also?
that's always been a gravel pit. That was never even, that wasn't even field where the actual
oh,
gravel
okay,
pit
then,
is.
then I'm thinking of the wrong spot.
Yeah.
I know I've seen him on the news a lot talking
On
about
the
it.
outskirts. I mean, I can, do a site walk, I can show you.
Yeah,
You know,
okay.
it's,
These were the old farm.
yeah,
And the PFAS is an interesting thing, not to bore you with. So we get into this in a lot of places now because it's such a. It's actually kind of a widespread thing that happens.
Mhm.
It's concentrated in areas that had sludge spread, but it's in the water table, we're finding it. And then, so the actual, the American Water Act, they haven't caught up with a PFAS standard. For like well testing, things like that, and so, from our use perspective, we're not. We're above the groundwater table when we do the excavation. And we're internally drained, so there's no mixing of ground, we're not pumping groundwater out, setting it someplace else, so. With that particular concern, I would say everything is contained on site and you're not. Pumping groundwater out or spreading PFAS, or you don't have wells, there's no houses out here, so.
But there's an aquifer there underneath.
Yes, but we're not taking the
No,
water.
no, I realize that, but there was an aquifer there.
Well, it's adjacent to the Kennebunk River.
Yeah.
It feeds the Kennebunk River.
Because the Kennebunk water went across the river and got water from there.
Yeah, one thing you have in Arundel is a lot of groundwater. Yes.
And a lot of arsenic.
Yeah,
So have you discussed this reopening with DEP at all, or?
So they actually still have they still have their permit, there's still a permanent pit out with the DEP. It's just your local ordinance that. Yeah, and the DEP is just, once you have a pit, this is a 5 acre and under pit, so there's never an active area greater than 5 acres. So it's just a self-reporting thing.
Good
So-
to know.
Just a question is, will we just consider this to be a renewal of a,
Well, it's
Okay.
expired,
I-
so
No,
it can't be a
can't be
renewal.
renewed.
so this,
right, it's,
okay, I guess it is expired.
Yeah, so you can't.
yeah,
replace
and
something expired.
that's the whole question that why I was asking about Mark. I don't remember how long ago Mark stopped it, but if it was more than 2 years ago.
But it was his family that,
Well,
Didn't
I don't know who owned the gravel pit or who was permitted for the gravel.
I
pit.
wasn't around when Mark
Right.
Welch was.
Was it Mark's permit and he was leasing the land, or was
But in
it?
either case, it
Freddie's
had
permit.
expired, so it maybe
Doesn't matter.
moved forward.
Yeah, this is a
Okay.
new application.
Yeah, we'll
application.
gonna start fresh.
Yeah,
Well, it got referenced in here as a re-permitting, and
Yeah.
that's, it's not really relevant. It's just the wrong term.
Sounds better.
I do have,
Yeah, I mean, that's me trying to say, like, look, this is already.
It was
here.
once permitted before, yeah.
yeah.
I honestly don't know, cause I didn't,
I had quite a few.
yeah, cause I actually, I had a falling out with my parents and I was away from the picture, but
so
yeah.
you don't know whose permit actually lapsed. Was it your family's permit or was it the prior?
No, I'm almost positive it was my parents, my father.
Yeah, it would run the
father's-
land.
It had to be
It would-
because
The
Yeah.
owner would have.
Dad was on that plan on.
So
Yeah,
that clarifies that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's his
Yeah.
lapsed permit.
Mark
So-
probably had a lease agreement with them. They had to get, yeah.
So
So Mark Welch has nothing to do with any of this, because it's your family's property.
So we should have a sidewalk
around
on this. We should have a sidewalk.
Oh, yes, we
But-
definitely should
Well,
have a
do
site.
we-
Need to-
Do we find it complete?
Yeah.
So Jason, I'm looking at both the letter,
Yep.
what you want, waivers, and I'm looking at the application. And on here, the only waiver you're asking for is from the fire chief and the public works person.
So we actually got those letters. So, yeah, and sorry, so I was in Florida when my staff put this one together, so if you may have very good questions that I don't have the answers to. So I can update the site plan.
Yeah.
Final.
Yeah.
Right, give us the,
Yep. Yeah.
All of them, Justin?
Yes, yep, we'll give you updated versions for the next meeting. You know, I can't, Tony was on a bunch of other stuff, but he does get smacked around.
So Paul, to adhere to your prior list of sequence of events,
Yep.
should this be considered a complete application before we go to a sidewalk? Or should we go to a sidewalk
could-
and then consider it a
We could
complete
do the
application?
sidewalk and then do the complete application. We just,
We gotta be
we just have to do the,
Or is it ready now?
They come back with the, with the notes that they clean this up, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That way that'll,
Just from a
so,
formality perspective, what would you say is, because, so we're requesting two waivers, and I don't know, obviously you don't have to vote on those now. I just have to update the application to go with the letter, the waiver request letter. But is there something that you're waiting for completeness, or other than that?
That's what I was
I think if we deny that request for those waivers, then it would end up being incomplete.
Yeah, so that's sort of what I'm getting at.
Yeah, so I think we need to discuss whether we want to waive those or not.
Well, wait a minute, so if we could still consider it complete, but they wouldn't get their permit unless the waivers were,
Well, right now, if we approve of those waivers, then it could be considered complete.
we could consider it, remember, considering an application complete doesn't mean that we agree with everything that's in it. We can
Complete.
always
Just
make a
because
change
it's-
later.
Complete
It's just a matter of having enough information with which to make a decision.
Yeah, what is the waiver, that,
that's my question.
The groundwater study and the
Yeah.
hydrogeologic. study.
so we require those things.
Yeah, so we discussed this and I think that because it's not, the completeness has nothing to do with the final,
Right, it can be all wrong as long as it's submitted.
but
Yeah,
there's,
but those, the groundwater study and the other thing, the hydrogeological, whatever it is, they haven't been submitted. We can grant them a waiver and they won't be required, then it can be complete.
well, I don't want to grant them the waiver, but I think they submitted enough. Paul?
I would disagree.
the order is you do.
Because
completeness
I
first.
think the issue of the waivers in this particular case. If they were asking us to waive the fire chief's report, I could probably, yeah, okay, not a problem. But if I'm being asked to waive the hydrogeologic and the groundwater studies, I have a problem with that. I want to know what those say.
But are we being asked to do that
Yes.
by saying it's complete?
Yeah.
We're not,
So they submitted, their waiver requests in writing, the rationale for that. So if the board feels that that's sufficient evidence to say they don't need a groundwater or hydrogeologic study, you can vote on those requests. And then if there is a vote for that, then the next step would be to vote on it for completeness. The waiver request is saying waiving these items so that they don't have to do them based on the evidence they provided. And if not, then they would have to submit those.
before it's considered complete?
Yes,
Okay,
Okay, so we have to roll on the waivers first.
yes.
So I think, well, then that leaves us with the question of, are we willing to give them the waivers that they're requesting, or should we say, no, we want those studies completed? I am leaning toward, I want the studies completed.
both studies or just the study?
The
Regarding
groundwater and
the
the
water.
hydrogeo.
I mean, this seems to make sense.
So the one thing I would think is that since what they refer to as the groundwater study, waiver request number 1 deals with on-site evidence of where the water table is, i.e. the pond elevation. I think it's appropriate for us to make the determination on that waiver once we have had a sidewalk assessment of that evidence, where they're not doing, groundwater monitoring wells or anything like that, to even whether it's a full-blown study or just to observe where that groundwater elevation is during the operation of the pit. Now, from that standpoint, or the second waiver, what they refer to as the hydrogeologic study, but pretty much a nitrate analysis. Yeah, I would concur that there's really not a nitrate, nitrate type of source, i.e. a septic system or a group of septic systems that would require us to do any kind of assessment to make sure that a nitrate plume wasn't leaving the site.
Yeah.
So I think they're two different animals.
I would agree. And I would think that the groundwater, I don't feel qualified to judge whether or not the parameters of whether or not you're digging too close to the groundwater and the shape of the pit and how deep it is and whatever. And I think that requires a professional assessment.
Sorry, I thought you were.
No, I've
How does
done.
DEP typically regulate that?
So not as thoroughly as you would want. So really, there's an inspection process for active pit licenses. They don't really inspect 5-acre or smaller pits, only if there's a complaint. So if you get, if someone's complaining about their water's tasting funny or something like that, and you're next to a pit, then they would do a site visit to concur. They'll throw this out there. Would you, because I'm not a hydrogeologist, would you just take a hydrogeological assessment by a certified hydrogeologist based on? So there's reports which include, like James was saying, monitoring wells and multiple visits, or there's an assessment by a hydrogeologist who can go do a site visit, look at the subsurface soils and things like that, understand how the groundwater aquifers interact with these soils at this elevation, and write a report that would then be something you could have in the files and say, okay, this site has been analyzed by a hydrogeologist, and here is his report, type of thing, where it would be less burdensome for the applicant to pay for something like that versus the full shebang that you would typically see on these big, giant pits.
Chair,
Yeah, Marty.
I think you should have some of that because the state has been bouncing in and out of their TV, Freddie, been back to Washington DC, this, that, and everything else on the PFAS stuff. I mean, it should be in your record somewhere of if they bounce all over the place. This is the first one for the state of Maine. And they held this place as a starting example. So they should have, if they had any tests done, it would have been there first. So I mean, you should have a lot of that already there, but just to find it.
Yeah, that would be probably a different analysis. They would be more doing quality analysis. Like actual drinking water, that would be, those
Yeah,
reports,
but they should have done that too, when,
if there's,
with, the water company, they were drilling the wells across the stream, across the river over there.
yeah, there may be some historic data we can find, but
I'm
we don't
saying-
own it or have access to it.
Just saying, instead of having him bend over and smile all the time here, I mean, the fact is that you should have facts already there.
Yes, yeah, well, I mean, hopefully,
That's what I'm trying to get at.
yeah, that's probably could. Maybe, good idea anyway to see, yeah.
I mean, the only thing the state has really come in, they've tested the fields. And the animals, cows that they have, but. You know,
Yeah,
the
but
pit, the
they-
pit, the
They had
gravel,
tested water too.
the gravel pit, well, yeah, they did, but my parents have this big extravagant water repurification system in the house.
Yeah,
So, but as far as like the gravel pit, that's something they weren't interested in because it was always a pit. It was never, they never spread sludge or anything.
Yeah.
You know, so it was never a thing.
no, yeah, just something off that course. But I mean, I know when Mark had it, he had to have a thing set up for about fueling and everything else. Are you gonna have the same thing for the pit?
No, I mean, my father has
Yeah, but I'm just saying way back when.
oh, not like, no, I'm not. I'm
No,
not
there
gonna
would-
have anything like that.
Yeah, there would-
no.
I'm just thinking it did or didn't along the way.
No, that's, no.
Okay.
So I just wonder by, and I'm not advocating one way or the other, I'm just surmising. If we don't require what is actually required, do we have exposure as a board by allowing them to just get an assessment or a report? And I would think, not being a lawyer, but having lived with many, that by sidestepping the actual requirement and going with the lesser of two evils,
Well,
we open ourselves to some question of exposure in the event that something occurs down the road, and especially since there's been an issue with PFAS and whatever, I'm concerned that someplace that we don't know about yet is going to affect that decision. And so,
so and to be honest, I need to go through I don't know that it's really clear what your standards are. It just says a report prepared by a certified hydrogeologist. I don't know that there are real specific guidelines as to what that report should entertain. So and maybe that's something I can follow up with Sam on.
because I'm not sure it protects us
Right.
as a board by letting you do that.
Right.
Without making you do what's required.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
You know, I agree with you, but I think what you just said, Jason, might have some wiggle room. Because it doesn't really say what credential is needed to.
Well, certainly, I think you have to be a certified hydrogeologist.
So,
Correct.
but that person maybe could.
So that you would be relying on that person to give you whatever package he prepares would meet the requirements of your ordinance. And in areas where your ordinance may not be explicitly well versed in what those things need to be or ought to be, you're relying on the hydrogeologist to say, this is what you want. This is what.
Yeah, that's
Right,
this,
so we-
the same way I look at it, to say, we're gonna have a peer review done of lighting. I know beans about lighting.
Right.
I'm trusting the peer review to take a look at it and
Exactly.
say, this is
So-
correct.
So, yeah.
I do have there's a couple of things in the ordinance that I don't see addressed yet.
Okay, sure. You want to go over those? We get those.
9.5, submission requirements. Applicants shall application shall be accompanied by a plan prepared according to the performance standards and submission requirements of this ordinance. The plan shall indicate the proposed extraction site, the property lines, the names of the abutting owners, and public and private ways, 5-foot contours related to the US Geodetic Survey data, the location of top of bank and slope of grades existing and as proposed upon completion of the extraction operation, and details of a proposed fencing, buffer strips, signs, lighting, parking, and loading areas and entrances and exits. A written statement shall be submitted to the proposed method, regularity, working hours, total proposed land area to be excavated, volume of material to be removed, and plans for the rehabilitation and restoration of the site upon completion of the operations. The board may require additional submission of a hydrogeologic study to determine the effects of the proposed activity. But I haven't seen the things that it says that are required. Now, you may have some of them already on the plan. I don't know.
Yeah, so you're looking for the written statement.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, all those things are on the plan if you.
They are,
dig
okay.
through. Yeah, so, but we'll summarize in the written statement, that sort of say this, yeah,
Okay,
we'll add that in when we update the,
yeah, because they're saying, tell us how far out you're gonna go and when you're gonna stop.
which, and that's sort of why I drew that, because it's hard to see in black and white lines, so
Mhm.
I can make it much more clear, even with color. This is the limits of the excavation.
Okay. But based on that, I would say the application is not complete at this time. There's still some stuff that we need to get added into the plans or developed in some other fashion. And again, I like it. Let's go do a site walk, take a look at it, see what we can see, and then proceed on from there. Now, whether that will tell me what I need to know about a groundwater survey, probably not. What I know about groundwater is that I flip the tab open on my sink and the water comes out. And I have it filtered because it's full of arsenic.
Welcome to the club. So you're gonna give us a statement that basically
Yes.
tells us what's on your plan.
Right.
That studies or outlines what's required in that particular section.
Mhm.
And we're gonna go and see, you know, what it all looks like.
And
And
by
make
the
some
same,
determination.
by the same determination in 5C, you need to give us a performance guarantee as to
Yeah.
what the work is gonna look like before the first load of gravel is dug.
So we're gonna go ahead and schedule a site walk.
Yep.
Tonight?
They had to still put that together for the sidewalk, don't they?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Don't they have to put some of that together so when we go to the sidewalk?
No,
Okay,
I think we have a general location. All right, I'll move that we have a site walk, but the question is when. It'll be this next week, we have another one scheduled,
we have one scheduled at
Sure.
6:15,
so we fit
that
this one
would
in.
work.
Yeah, this might take a little longer. So, Talking-
We could do it on a Saturday if you want.
hmm,
Or
Yeah.
some evening. It's
um,
it's up to, well, with your input, because you may very well be going, I don't want to come out on Saturday morning.
No, I'd like to get.
Is the 19th a
So-
Saturday?
Anybody-
Could we
do it next Tuesday?
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
was thinking.
because-
Tuesday.
But the 20th is Easter. Too.
Right, next-
Also,
Next Tuesday.
Could we do next Tuesday at 5 o'clock?
that would be the
The 8th
eighth.
I will not be here. But that's fine.
at 5 AM, 5 PM rather.
Yeah.
5 AM.
I can do 5 AM, I'm awake.
Both work.
There you go.
No, construction worker.
You want to do 5 PM? Tuesday?
5 PM. Sure,
Make it a motion.
That way we've got plenty of time.
okay, and everybody can make 5?
I can't make five.
How about 6,
5:30?
5:30?
I mean, I could do probably 6, but if you have enough with people without me,
Yeah.
it's fine.
So.
Six.
that'd be-
Yeah.
6, all right, let's go for 6, that's, my motion will be 6 o'clock on the 8th next week.
Okay.
There's still plenty of light.
You guys good with that?
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion by Tom McGinn, seconded by Paul Green to have a site walk on Tuesday, April 8th at 6 P.M. Any discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? It is unanimous. Even though you're not going to be here, you can still vote yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
thank you.
guys. See you next week.
You know, before we go, we should reach a consensus on the waivers on those 2 studies. Do we want to grant them or do we not want to grant them? That don't wait, so we.
I think, what I was suggesting is we make a decision after we've done the site walk, especially
Oh, okay.
if the groundwater study.
Okay. That will work. We can't, okay. We can't make a decision at the site walk, but you can discuss it and show us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. And we're not discussing the other stuff on here.
No, they
We've already-
scheduled.
we've,
Nobody's here.
Again, the,
Stuff Ryan needs. We're not discussing these tonight, right?
oh, he's not here. He's not here.
He's not
He's gonna let us know. I would like, do you remember back when, at one point in time, we used to vote on conditional uses on specific items and we would vote on all 10 of those items?
Yeah.
I would like to get back to that, but I'm not sure what the criteria was that established how we were voting, because we haven't done it in such a long time. I forgot.
I think it was said it wasn't required unless there was a question. Isn't that what we talked about?
No, there were specific things that we were looking for and discussing, and I just can't remember what they were.
I think part of the sort of legal argument is that, you know, with 7 of us, any of the measures would have to fail individually
Correct.
for a project to not get approved. So, you know.
Right.
And
So we could all sort of disagree on various things, but if it was still a majority for every standard, then they would all pass.
correct.
And collectively, the project would be approved.
But we,
Versus,
but even back then, we weren't voting on them on every one of those conditions.
I think we did.
Were we?
were,
Okay,
Because on the
Okay.
converse, if we, at the very end, we said we denied,
Right,
we had no record of saying
right.
why we
Which one,
denied,
right.
so.
so I think we should get,
You might oppose for traffic and I might oppose for
Yeah.
stormwater, but
they might both pass.
it would still pass because everybody else thought traffic was okay and stormwater was okay.
Yep. Yeah, 'cause I can only think of one instance where something didn't pass, and I just, it's a good protection for everybody to be able to say, yeah, I think that we should vote on each one of these items, but it does extend the meeting. a
It
little bit,
does.
Yeah, it
Makes
does.
it onerous.
because there are 10 items that we need to work on.
Mhm.
If it's a non problem type of.
It's- but we can't pick and
We don't
choose.
know ahead of time.
Well, even if we knew ahead of time, even if we knew we had somebody coming in, and it's a conditional use because it's a change of use and we're gonna go through and we're gonna, not a problem. If
Yeah.
we don't vote on every one of the items,
Yeah,
You know,
Well,
it
you
leaves
can
it
ask
open.
if, you can ask if there's an objection,
No,
and if,
because it leaves it open in the future.
and if
So-
there are no objections, I think, can't you assume that that everyone voted yay?
No,
If no
I
one
don't think we
raises the
can.
question?
That was the issue before. Yeah. People wouldn't raise the objection. By having the vote on every one of the items, it brings it up and you have to say, am I in favor of this or not?
Well, I think we should look into that, because it makes it some of the findings of fact are quite long. And it makes it,
Well,
yeah,
that's,
it really does
they're really not,
extend the process.
we've seen half a dozen conditional uses in the past couple of months. They're not that long. It's a matter of reading through it. What was making it was so long was that the prior town planner was quite into writing.
So maybe might work. Why do we have to read them all? We can go item one. You know. All in favor? Yes, no, item two. Instead of reading them all, because they all end up in the minutes.
Mhm.
Right? Because I take what Sam puts out, I include it in the minutes.
Yep.
So we have the record of what each item is.
That's true, but the public and the person who has the application that is submitting doesn't know what those items are for
Well, they get a copy of the signed notice,
after we voted on it.
right?
But they
I mean,
get, don't they get a
I'm
copy
just
of
trying to
findings of
figure out
fact?
how we.
We get a a reinterpretation or a refresher of a previous interpretation from presumably is still the town attorney. She would be the definitive answer to say, yes, this is the appropriate way to do it. And we can move forward from there.
I think it was her
Yeah.
who advised us to do it in the first place.
Probably so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was on.
I think it was her advice that led us down the road to do it.
I think that's what drove us there, was that legal case that she wrote the notice on for us. And
That's the one.
That's still ongoing?
I don't know that for a fact.
Better know.
Okay. That, I wanted to bring that up because I think it's something that we should consider doing.
Can we confirm with Leah?
I can confirm with.
Yeah,
Okay.
Chair,
Yeah, Marty,
did we get anything back from the lawyer on?
not yet. We haven't heard back from her yet.
I mean, I was just wondering, because it wasn't brought up tonight, I mean, if we had heard anything.
What
She hasn't
As-
reviewed it yet.
what project, Marty?
This is the,
Yeah.
not Oak Ridge,
Well,
the Senate Road subdivision.
Yeah.
We're waiting for the response from the attorney on this.
Senator or?
No, not Senate.
Well, that's still.
Laurel Lane.
South Skilling.
South Skillings. I know it had an S in there someplace.
Yeah.
The South Skillings, issue. We're waiting to hear back.
Motion to adjourn.
We're done.
So.